We are live. What's up, podcast world and Facebook family? How's everybody doing? Say hi, Tanya.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thanks for listening in.
We got another. We say every week we got special guests. We got another special guest with us. You pound piddling around over there. I've been knowing this young man since ninth grade.
Ooh,
1972.
February.
that's a long time. That's a long
Hashtag
time.
high. All right, Tanya's gonna read your bio, and then we're gonna jump into this.
Okay, sir.
All right, coming live, we have Brian C. Douglas. Byron. I don't know why I keep saying that. I do it every time. Don't you correct me. Yes, we have Byron C. Douglas, doctor. All right, Dr. Douglas was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and is a product of the Detroit public school system. He received his bachelor's degree from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and his master's and doctorate degrees from St. Louis University in St. Louis, Missouri. Dr. Douglas is a clinical psychologist with a specialty in child and adolescent assessment and treatment, and maintains an Afrocentric focus in his work. He has extensive experience with troubled and delinquent youth and has consulted with several area agencies that deal with children and youth. He also has extensive experience working with parents, young adults, and also with a diverse population. For example, with race, ethnicity, gender, and religion. Dr. Douglas recently retired as a school psychologist at Ann Arbor Huron High School in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He is a member of Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, where he serves as a Sunday school teacher and youth worker. Dr. Douglas is also the author of Stories for Our Children and More Stories for Our Children, second book, Books for African American Christian Families. These are unique books for children that address African American history and culture from a spiritual perspective and provide practical lessons for life. Each book is wonderfully illustrated with depictions that reflect the strength and beauty of African American people. All right, I like that.
Welcome, Doc. How you doing?
Yes.
I'm good, bro. How y'all doing?
We doing real good, real good.
Good.
Glad you could join us.
Well, I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a whole lot of stuff today. So we're gonna get the preliminaries out the way. DPS, Cass Tech High, is that right?
Yes, sir. January 76.
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
And then it went downhill after that. Howard University, HBCU.
1980.
Yeah, and see, we always like to focus on the fact of our guests who went to Detroit public schools, and special emphasis for those who went to HBCUs, which about half of them did, which is great. It just shows that HBCUs is putting out some real strong folks doing good things in our community. Let me ask you, it's St. Louis University.
Yes, sir.
What made you go there?
They offered me some money.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Before I went to Howard, my goal was to work in the plant and 30 and out and just chill.
Yeah.
Situation happened where a couple of the fellas said, "Hey, let's apply to Howard." I applied. They didn't. Right. I got in, and then out of spite, I said, "I'm going anyway." So I did that. Got through Howard. First year, I was about to quit. I said, "Okay, I can do this college thing. I go home, work in the plant."
Yeah.
Second year, did real well. I said, "Well, I'm halfway through. I might as well stay."
Yeah.
And so then I had people tell me about grad school. I said, "I don't want to do all that."
Right.
And ran into a sister who was with the American Psychological Association Minority Fellowship Program. And she kept telling me, "You need to be in grad school." So I hooked up with the program, and they sent my information to a couple of schools. One was University of South Carolina. The other was St. Louis University. University of South Carolina was going to let me come in as an unregistered student. for that first year, St. Louis U was going to let me start the program right away.
Mhm.
And being someone who not a big fan of school, I like learning.
Mm-hmm.
I do like learning. I just didn't like the school process.
Right.
I said, if I'm going to do it, let me get in and get it over with.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's how I wound up in St. Louis.
and the rest
Strong-willed, I tell
is,
you.
and the rest is history.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so clinical psychologist,
Yeah.
child and adolescent assessment and treatment with
Yes, sir.
with Afrocentric twist. So let's go to the first thing. Well, not the first thing, but you were a psychologist at Ann Arbor Huron.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
I went there in 1998. I left the Maxey Training School, Maxey Boys Training School, at the time the state's largest delinquency facility. Some political stuff went down, and I said, well, before I get mad and act a little crazy, I need to look at some other options.
Okay.
And I had actually had contact with Ann Arbor Public Schools a couple of years prior to me getting there. And they kind of, gave me a little brush off. And then next thing I know, they're calling me.
Okay.
So I went ahead, listened to them and said, okay, let me give this a shot. Had no idea I would be there for 20 years. One thing working in a school system with the school calendar, time just flies.
Okay.
September is coming around, you waiting on Christmas break and
right.
you get there, then the next thing you know, it's spring break, semester ended, and you're about to get ready for another year.
Yeah. Wow.
And 20 years. I enjoyed my entire time there. Was very, very well treated by the community, highly respected by the community. Of course, African-American community, Somali community, Nigerian community, Arab American community. Began to meet people in the Latino community. People very welcoming. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I always put their kids first.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So that was good. So we said we're gonna talk about some things. So what do you see in our school system, or what did you see, or what do you still see in our school systems concerning our kids, and I don't know how they treat it, that we might need to rethink, or should I say the system might need to rethink?
School systems, when you start talking public school systems, you're talking about inequities and resources. Okay, I'm in Ann Arbor school system. They had computer carts.
Okay.
So they would bring me to the classroom. Kids could sit there right there with a laptop and go to work. I'd have kids coming from Detroit, coming into the school. Some of them took full advantage of it.
Okay.
They're like, I know people who worked in certain schools, there may have been 2 computers in the whole school.
Right.
So you're talking about resources, number one. Yeah. I even had students would come into my office and work on my computer. Okay. When they couldn't get access.
Yeah.
And just recently with the COVID thing, Ann Arbor was able to give kids laptops and iPads and stuff to take home.
Right.
During when school was shut down in the spring. So one thing is resources.
Yeah.
Another thing, especially start talking about quote unquote minority kids, marginalized children kind of get hurt in the system.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
They need advocates. They need somebody who's going to look out for them, push them, support them, and defend them.
Right.
Okay. So that's what's happening in our school systems too.
Okay. Yeah. If I can jump right in, I'll tell you that this year for the fall semester, they got some corporate partners to donate iPad tablets to Detroit Public Schools, and we helped distribute them over at Mumford.
Also, they was giving free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, some of them giving free Wi-Fi. But what we found out, and I don't know how it went down after that, but there were a whole lot of tablets sitting there waiting to be picked up.
Yes.
That folks hadn't come and got.
And see what happens too, depending on, on what's happening with that system, a child or a family can get kind of fatalistic.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this ain't for me, or this isn't going to help me, or there's nobody there to help me.
Right.
And you get that cycle that just goes on and on. And I'll tell anybody in a minute, I've never met a dumb child.
Right.
I've worked with children who've had various challenges, various disabilities. Some of the children I've worked with over the years who may have been defined as quote unquote low IQ or some developmental disabilities were also very perceptive.
Okay.
Demonstrated some wisdom that you don't always see. And so that's why I say it's very, very important for children to have advocates. And what I would encourage when I was at Huron, I would encourage parents, come up to the school.
Yeah.
Make your voice known. Let them see your face. And I'm just going to flat out say it. Certain communities, certain white folk, they go up to them school boards, make noise, they get what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have to do the same thing when it's about our children.
Right.
And if the parent can't do it, there ought to be community people, whether we're talking ministers, council people, neighborhood activists, whoever, people need to go up there and, make their voices heard.
Right.
And go up there when there's not an issue, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, because we usually go to school. When we go up there screaming and hollering about the wrong thing.
Yeah, that can happen a lot. But if you're up there on the regular, you're up there supporting your child when your child is doing well, when your child's just going to school.
Yeah.
That can carry a lot of weight.
Right. Oh, I know it. I remember when my kids was in school.
Yeah, we definitely was at every parent-teacher conference, every event that they were involved in. And I'm like you, Dr. Douglas. I believe also that there's no child that's just dumb. Because if you put in the time and you put in the work, you put in the love, anytime you got animals that can learn, really, we are higher than an animal.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of especially Black kids. I should tell people all the time, as a culture, we vibe on relationships.
Right.
And if you think somebody really likes you, cares about you, you're going to put forth effort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see kids that skip 5 out of 6 classes. Why you skip that class? I don't like that teacher.
Right.
Why you go to that class? I like that teacher.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And because the teacher accepted them, they felt accepted, they felt respected.
Yeah. Right.
And I used to tell kids all the time, look, I understand that. That's a cultural thing. That's who we are.
Yeah.
But you got to go in there and get what you can, because once you earn that diploma, nobody can take it from you.
Right. Yeah, and that's where we fall short, is that like you said, there's not enough people who are encouraging the kids and then encouraging them to fight through.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll quit in a minute.
Oh yes, we will. And especially if it's a problem child or one that's at risk. Put it that way.
I don't know if you saw earlier this year, and getting away from public school, but in college, Wayne State University's graduation rate for African Americans was ridiculous. It was under 20% at one time.
Yeah, Wayne, I think over the years, Wayne has had some difficulty getting Black students through.
Yeah.
And a variety of issues with that. Economic issues. Sometimes kids come from a system where certain foundational educational skills haven't been fully developed. It makes it very difficult when you go into a college situation.
Right, without a doubt. Right. So we put that work in that you were just talking about. We stand a better chance of our kids being successful, because like you said, I mean, there are no dumb kids. And the only issue we have is figuring out how to bring out of them what they have in them.
Yeah. And we also need to look at how do we define success.
Yes.
Okay.
Is success just quote unquote getting a job? Is success just getting a grade? I always tell the kids, if you work to understand the material, the grade is going to come.
Right.
Everybody's not going to quote unquote go to college. We got kids who could be fantastic electricians, plumbers,
Yes, right.
carpenters, computer technology. All these things are open, and you can make a living, have a career, and take care of a family.
Right.
You know, I've known kids who, especially where I was at, I always tell people all the time, man, ours was a system where you got one kid driving a Lexus to school every day, sitting next to a kid on the free lunch program.
Right.
Everything in between. That's a public school.
Yeah.
Okay. So I knew kids would flip out because they didn't get into U of M, you know.
Right.
I know kids in the 9th grade flipping out because I don't know what my career path is right now. You ain't supposed to know.
Right. Not in the 9th grade.
Yeah. But this is what's pushed on kids.
Yeah.
And then we got other kids who are just trying to get through the day. One thing I have to say about school systems, to some degree, I think as a society, as a community, we almost put too many expectations on school teachers. They can't be the psychologist. They can't be the social worker. They can't do all of that and teach.
Yeah.
And more resources need to be made available.
Right.
So you can have somebody like me or a social worker or other people there who can handle those different things, which would just enhance the educational experience.
Right.
You know, and people always say, well, we don't have the resources. Well, you know, we sent $2 trillion out a couple months ago.
Right.
A bunch of folks stole that money. You know, there are folk who didn't need that money, and I'm not talking about poor folk either.
Right.
You know, so if you can, in the case of emergency, you can send out $2 trillion and talking about sending out another $1 to $2 trillion. Infrastructure could have been fixed.
Yeah.
Virus could have been stemmed. Schools.
We even have more clinical psychology and social workers per student.
Yes, we could have all those things going on
that we need.
Yeah.
But it's about societal priorities.
Right. Yeah. Because everybody didn't need that money.
No. And certain people got the money because of who they knew.
Yeah. Right.
You know, that there were a number of corporations that were wealthy corporations who had an end with the folk who are in political power right now. Yeah. And they got a lot of that money.
Right. Yeah. And they say that the banking industry helped a lot of folks navigate through the process and put them at the top of the list.
Yes.
So right. We right. And that's the sad truth is that that's always the way it goes, is that we say we can't, and we don't have enough, but we got plenty. We just don't want to put it where it needs to go.
Yeah, our priorities are kind of mixed up.
Yeah, in the greatest country in the world.
Yeah.
So before we go down that rabbit hole, let's talk real quick. You wrote a couple books.
Yes, sir.
And we got one of them here.
Oh, okay. You got the first one.
The very first one.
Autographed.
Yes, autographed and everything. Read it to my children several times.
All right.
And now I'm finna start on my sister's grandbaby, since we don't have any grandchildren yet.
Okay. Y'all got the second book?
No, sir.
No, we haven't, but we gonna get it now.
I got y'all.
Because I enjoyed this immensely. And like you said, I'm moving. My son, they about to become guardians of his wife's niece.
Okay.
So she's gonna be. I've started buying her books, and then when we dug this one, I said, "Oh yeah!" So here's another one.
Oh, I got y'all.
All right.
Sure.
Cool.
Yes.
So I bring that up. So let's talk about the genesis of the books that you wrote.
Wow, that book, the first book, was stories that I told in 1992.
Okay.
At the time, Tabernacle had a storytelling ministry, and I saw people go up and tell stories. And I said, well, if I was to tell a story, I would emphasize issues around history, culture, spirituality.
Right.
All right.
And my late mother said, well, why don't you go and sign up then? And so I looked into it, and I went ahead and joined, the volunteer storytellers.
Mhm.
And that book, those are the first 5 stories
Okay.
that I
Oh,
told.
okay.
Cool. And I would just, I don't know, the way my mind works, I would look at a concept
Mhm.
and I would say, okay, how would I break that down to a kid?
Right.
And then I would look at a concept and say, not only just break it down to a kid, but adults, teenagers, everybody could, get into it.
Right. Right.
And understand it. And the way we did the storytelling, they would bring kids up to the front of the church from about 2 years old up to about 11.
Right.
Mhm.
I knew a 2-year-old wasn't going to understand certain things, but the mere fact that they were in front of the church, they were brought in front.
Right.
Mhm.
They're getting that attention and the focus.
Right.
And then my thing was take a concept, explain the concept, and then give a historical example and a spiritual
Mhm.
example,
Right.
which all comes together. I'm not in the fantasy, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I'm not a once upon a time type of guy. So, all my stories are going to deal with, basically reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I've always felt that the true story is always more interesting than the fiction,
Right.
Mhm.
fictional story. So
Right. Right.
that's how I shaped my stories.
Right. And the true story don't let you down at the end.
This is what I like about it too. You had in the table of contents, you had ancestors, who is important, the outward appearance, because like you said, only we look at the outward appearance. God is the one that looks at the heart.
Yeah.
You had obedience in there. What is obedience? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The drum, and you relate everything to back to Africa. I didn't even know what is a griot. I didn't know that was a griot. Yeah, I didn't know that was the person that went to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they got a griot society.
Even though I went, they never explained that. Even though I went to some storytelling in the museum. Yeah. So
now, see, here's the interesting thing about that. Many parts in Africa, there's the oral history.
mhm.
And so you would have people trained in learning the story of the people.
Right.
And then they would share that.
Right. Right.
The European Western mindset was really, really into literature, writing.
Yeah.
And so they would look down on the oral history as though you can't lie in writing. Well, how's that accurate? And that's the oral, and that's where it came from, the mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're taught the whole history of the people.
Right.
And it was your responsibility to then go share it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So just like we write, lies about us have been written in the books for centuries.
Right. And still being written.
Still being written. So that was one of the powerful things about the culture. And when I did the drum, I always liked drums.
Okay.
My brother played the congas, I played the trap set for a little while, but I was always into the beat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just said, let me go and put together a story about the importance of the drum, especially the issue of communication with the drum.
Drum, yes.
And then how, people don't realize the drums were taken away from us.
Mm-hmm.
In North America, you might lose your hands if you was caught with a drum. Okay. Because Europeans understood the power of that drum.
Right.
So once the drums were taken away, we found other ways to communicate.
Yes.
So to pass messages on.
Right. Yeah.
My big message for that is that prayer is the ultimate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I said. I found all that. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm reminded now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And since we went there, I know you remember everything that's in this book. It's only a few years old. You talked about the one of the first Christian churches.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that real quick?
One of the things that we kind of get caught up in, we talk about Christianity being a quote unquote white man's religion.
Right.
The first and oldest organized Christian church in the world was the Egyptian Coptic Church. Okay. Right behind that was the Ethiopian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
They predate the Catholic Church, the Presbyterian Church, all of that.
Right.
Okay. And what's so fascinating about the Ethiopian church is that they have, I think it's 7 churches that they literally carved out of the mountain.
Wow.
The pews, the doors, the walls,
Wow.
the windows, the altar, everything.
Yeah.
And if you ever see an aerial view of it, it's shaped like a cross and it goes down into the earth.
Okay.
They're considered one of the wonders of the world.
Right. Right.
And so that's African.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I call it Western Christianity or American Christianity. You got a bunch of evangelicals that think Jesus was an American,
Right, exactly.
And Christianity was used against us.
Right.
Yet you had powerful Black preachers who understood the word and used the word to strengthen us.
Right.
People don't often talk about Nat Turner was a preacher.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think my thing is it's important to research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had a professor at Howard freshman year. He would always tell us he didn't mind if we had an opinion as long as you had an informed opinion.
There you go. There you go. Because too many of us sit back and let somebody tell us what our opinion is.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, and I know because it was funny when I picked this book up again, was looking through it because I have a cousin who got his PhD a few years ago, and he was actually talking about this church when somebody was talking about the white man forced Christianity on us, and he was talking about how now you got it wrong. they Christianity predate what they was doing. So so that's why I wanted you to bring that out. And so I know that you've done some presentations, if you will, of Men's Week at your church.
Yeah.
And you talk about that a little bit, the stuff you encountered, the folks you ran into, and how people received it.
We used to do a thing called Male Spirituality Week at my church, at Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. And we'd bring in people from all over, Jeremiah Wright, Freddie Haynes, Lance Watson, Michael Dyson, etc. And it'd be a week of discussions and sermons and presentations. And oftentimes I would ask you to do something for youth or do something in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always do something that focused on identity, culture, spirituality. How do we make this real? How do we make this practical?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When we're working with each other. And it was a good experience. My issue has always been, no matter what church you're in, the work happens after the program.
Yes. Sir.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's very, very important that if something is to be laid out, that we do a follow-up.
Right.
And that we do things consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked a couple of times, well, can you speak at this school or can you speak to this group? And I'm like, yeah, I can do that, but what's your follow-up?
Right.
Especially if you're talking to young people. Do you have quarterly follow-ups?
Yeah.
Are you assisting them once they're given a message? How do you understand it? How do you apply it?
Right.
What supports do they need from that point on?
Yeah.
So that's just, my feeling is that sometimes we get caught up in the event.
Right. Yeah, we do.
You can go to church and somebody tells you, oh man, that sermon was something else. He showed they preached that word. You say, okay, well, what are you talking about? Well, it was good. It sounded good.
Right. Yeah, we had that same discussion. We had a couple of other preachers from my church on earlier, and we all had that same discussion because a lot of people, they just go to church for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't picked the Bible up when they left church. Don't want to know. And a lot of people are going to church every Sunday, some of the time during the week, 40, 50 years, and ain't a bit more closer to God than they were before they ever stepped foot in the church.
And part of it is, we have to walk with people walk alongside them with that.
Yeah.
And also understand that for a lot of people, they need that emotional release.
Yeah.
That Sunday. All right, you had your emotional release. Now let's get practical with some things.
Yeah.
You know, because you get people beat down the whole week, and they come in and they want to shout. Okay, all right, you do that. You know, that's good. That you shout. All right, now let's talk about how we get you through the week.
Right.
You know, how do you deal with that situation on the job, or how do we get our congressperson to provide certain resources that we need, that can benefit you and may make you shout even more when you go back.
Yeah, we got a question out here for you. Can you
Yes, sir.
Can you just say the names of those books again? Both of your books.
Stories for Our Children, book for African American Christian families, and More Stories for Our Children. Yeah.
So stories and for our children and more stories. Cool.
Yeah, more stories.
Yeah. Brandon is taking care of that now. Right. And that's what we fall short at a lot, is that we have a grand event, we have a great time, and then everybody goes home and there's no real follow-up.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, and maybe I'm wrong, because some other folks said they saw some stuff, like the Million Man March. There were some little groups that were doing some stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any real follow-up from the leadership, if you will, after that event.
Yeah, there were some groups. There was a group in the Ann Arbor area that put together what they call National African American Parent Involvement Day.
Yeah.
Where they would have, a particular day, especially in February, parents come into the schools. We encouraging parents to come in, sit in the classrooms with their child, do things like that. But generally, there really wasn't a significant follow-up.
Right. And the anniversary's coming up.
Yeah, I went to the march, and it was phenomenal.
It was.
And I was debating on whether I was going to go, because at the time I was working at Maxie Training School.
Okay.
And I was trying to decide, would it be better for me to be with the young guys and watch it, or would it be better for me to go? And then I was watching over my friend's house, psychologist partner of mine, Dr. Mbaye Ramsey. He passed away back in 2006, 2007. We were watching TV, watching one of these news shows, and George Will came on, and he said, "Black man, I'm talking to a black man. That's not your place. You shouldn't be at that march." I said, "I'm going now."
That's right.
Yeah, I was glad I went, because
it was a phenomenal experience.
Phenomenal experience. And then I went back to work and spent a couple of days just talking to the young guys about it.
Yeah.
Because they were very, very interested in it. They had been watching it. So I was able to give them a firsthand experience.
Right. And I took my son, and one of my friends took his nephew.
Yeah.
So we went down there in 2 vans and 2 cars on a convoy. And
that's what we did.
Yeah. And that was one
I would say Detroit showed out.
But the beauty of it is that all along the way, the turnpike and everywhere, it wasn't nothing but black men. It wasn't no trouble. Everybody was proud. Everybody was respectful of each other. Even there.
Yes.
You know how we do about our gym shoes. You step on somebody's shoes, it's a fight. People was apologizing for getting their shoes stepped on.
Yeah, I mean, I stepped on brother's shoe. He turned around and apologized to me.
Right. That's how it was going. And then there was some young ladies that brought their butts there, walking through the crowd, trying to entice guys. And they was like,
not today.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. Yeah. So it was a beautiful thing.
I remember we took about a couple of vans, a couple of Jeeps. We were just had the caravan, and one of the young guys said, and it was kind of sad, but it was important. He said, "I ain't never been around that many black guys and no fighting."
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us could have said that.
Yeah.
With no fight, not an angry word.
Yeah.
And I brought that up because with it coming up on the anniversary and all that we going through right now, we need to figure out a way to get back on the right page.
Yeah.
As a race, if you will.
Yeah.
It's good in everybody,
It
especially our Black men.
It's a monumental task. I do truly believe that it starts with just forming relationships.
Yes.
Right.
You know, it's real hard to stay mad at somebody you care about and who cares about you.
Right.
You know, I used to tell my young guys and my girls at work, I say, look, I'll kick your A, but I'll never kick you to the curb. If I got to confront you, if I got to get on you, I'm going to do that.
That's right. Don't.
But doing it with love.
Yeah, but I'm going to advocate for you.
Yeah.
But I will check you.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that's how the Lord do it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how he do it.
Without a doubt. So you retired.
Yeah.
You stepped away from all of that, and so I know you didn't stop working.
Man, it's a trip because a lot of days I don't feel like doing nothing. But right after I retired, a good friend of mine at the school, he got the girls' varsity coaching job. So he said, he asked me to be on staff. I said, man, you know I'm retired. He said, man, just give me whatever time you give me. I need you on the staff. So they wound up getting all my time. You know, so I've been doing that the last couple of years. This is the third year for that. And this year especially.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's the most interesting because of what's happening now.
Right.
You know,
right.
And trying to put things together. And then there's another agency that I'm doing some part-time consulting for.
Okay.
So I'm doing a little bit of that. Volunteer work also.
Of course.
Matter of fact, I have to this week. I need to follow up on a thing. I was doing some tutoring at my old elementary school last school year.
Okay. And
so now they're trying to do it virtually, and I need to go ahead. I said I was going to try to do it again this year. So I need to go ahead and get on the training and stuff. But I got some things going on. I'm trying to juggle, but
you just can't say no, huh?
I can't. I'm so glad I'm retired, though. I'm telling you. I'm glad I'm retired.
Don't sound like it to me.
And I even brought the retirement thing up because I know that you know, with your passion for the young folks, that it's real hard to walk away from that.
Yeah, it is. I was there from 98 to 2018, and I got kids who got kids. And so they're calling me, asking me for advice. So they call to check on me.
Okay.
So,
wonderful.
You know, they never leave you. I said, I feel like Michael Corleone. That's when I thought I was out.
Right.
And they pull you back in.
That's right. That's right. You can't get out.
And I still teach Sunday school, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she tripping. Okay,
but
so
I do sleep a little later.
You got to do that. You got to do that. So what I want to ask you before and then we're gonna go into some other stuff, but we're gonna take this little break right here to ask you. You know the title, Things My Mother Never Told Me.
Yeah.
And so we ask all our guests, is there something that you've encountered in your journey called life that your mother never prepared you for or didn't prepare you for?
I'll tell you the truth, man. That's real hard because me and my mother and my father had a very close relationship. And they allowed me to question. Yeah. As long as it was respectful.
Right.
You know, it wasn't you talking back type of thing. Yeah. So if I had a question, you know, it was all right to ask. Yeah. You know, I'd ask about race. I ask about culture. I ask about life. I ask, you know, so, you know, I think that helped prepare me real well. I can remember, you know, mother talking about, you know, drugs, alcohol, you know, being in your right mind.
Yeah.
You know, learning how to, you know, calm yourself down. You know, talking about ulcers and stuff that can happen, you know,
right.
That stay on you.
From that, yeah.
Yeah, so it was I have to say preparing well. Plus, what was interesting as a young person, I spent a significant amount of time with older people.
Mhm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Whether it was my brother and his crew, they didn't realize how much I heard.
Right.
You know, they're 10 years older than me. I heard a lot of things. And then my parents used to loan me out to folk. Go do
Loan
Miss
you
So-and-so. Yeah, go wash Miss So-and-so's windows. Go help Mr. So-and-so. I mean, literally, there was a deacon at my church. He was blind. And I was basically, there were certain days I was his seeing eye.
Okay. Okay.
And these I'm talking about these older gentlemen. They're talking to you about World War II.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
They're talking to you about the South,
Right.
Another older gentleman, he was an invalid. He had a double amputee.
Mm-hmm.
And, I used to help him clean his wheelchair and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He told me about, the Korean War, So you kind of around that kind of stuff, you made a few dollars,
Yeah, you gotta make one or two. You gotta make one or two. And so for those who don't know, tell them where you grew up.
I grew up in Detroit on the west side off of Warren Avenue, not too far from the boulevard. Went to Sampson Elementary, Weber Junior High, and then Cass. Now, right now, Sampson Weber combined because Sampson has been closed down for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So now they call it Sampson Weber Academy.
Okay. So
that West Warren Avenue, Livernois,
Mm-hmm.
all through there.
Right. And I bring that because for those who don't know, Lefty, as we call it, you was a different kind of cat. Because what language did you take up in school?
Russian.
You mean you could go with the president?
Not now. He probably could need a brother like me, Because you're sitting there just listening to Putin, I'll be the brother. Man, yeah, I'm telling this. And it was funny because I took Russian because everybody else was doing something else. I had a tendency, I did go left when a lot of folk might have went right.
Yeah, that's what I said.
But I took Russian and I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I ain't never got to see it again.
Right.
I get to Howard and it's like, you got to have a foreign language. I'm like, man. So I got back into Russian.
Again.
I was very, very surprised at how much I had retained.
Uh-huh.
I hadn't seen it since 9th grade.
Wow.
But I was surprised at how much I had retained.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something real funny. One of my instructors was from Ukraine.
Okay.
Nice white woman. And it was weird because at one time I was the only person in class. So I always had to have my work together.
Right.
Exactly. So we in class one day, and because we're in her office, and she says, how would you like to go study for the summer at the University of Leningrad? And I laughed.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed. I said, I'm going home. It's the summer. Get a job in the plant.
That job in the plant again.
Right.
Hey, because you know how it was in the summertime.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You come home from school, you can make some dollars, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Take back to school. So I laughed. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And I never say I regret anything, but there are times I'm like, that might have been a nice opportunity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I'm from Detroit. And you talking to me about University of Leningrad?
Right. I don't think so.
And my summer.
Yeah, my summer. Yes.
Right.
Wow.
Well, that's all right. So, so I think we talked. Well, we didn't put the two together, did we? Race and religion.
Race and religion.
Yeah.
You want me to hit on that real quick?
Yeah, hit on that real quick.
Okay. I call it American Christianity in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This stuff that you see with a lot of evangelicals and a lot of people, that stuff was founded on racism.
Mm-hmm.
The church played a major role in perpetuating the myth of black inferiority.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about curse a ham, or they talked about, they even had discussions of whether or not we had souls that could be saved.
Right, right.
And because they had such an economic interest in the slave trade and the slave economy, they said, well, yeah, they can be saved. That don't mean that, their soul can be free, but their body can still be on the plantation.
Yeah.
They played them games. And the Southern Baptist Convention was founded because they were supporting slavery.
Okay.
They fell out with Northern abolitionists. So their platform was about slavery. Okay. So we got these people who for centuries and generations brought up with the myth of Black inferiority, but we all the ground is level at the cross.
Right.
Okay, but we ain't at the cross. No. And this stuff just gets perpetuated.
Right.
I mean, you even had white ministers praying for Obama's death. And they call themselves Christian.
Right.
And the Bible says, a tree by its fruits.
Yeah.
Now you can, in my opinion, Christianity and inequality don't mix.
Right.
Christianity and fairness, Christianity and looking at your brother and sister as a full human being. Yeah. That's what that's about.
Right.
Anything that veers from that is heretical.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a lot of patience with these white evangelicals who been hating on us for the longest and talking about quote unquote morality.
Right.
And then support not just the person in the White House, but that entire administration.
Yeah.
And see, one thing I will say this, an astute person can make the Bible, they can justify whatever they want from the Bible.
Yes, they can.
They just justify it.
Right.
Well, Trump is like those kings who didn't worship God, but God used them to do something for the people. Oh man, get out of here with that. You didn't say that about Obama.
Right.
Who was a Christian.
Yes.
You tried to paint him all kind of ways.
Right.
But when you start telling people to pray for the death of somebody, because primarily you don't like their color,
exactly,
and you don't like their politics, then something you really need to look into your Christianity. And a big part, there's a sister, this white woman, I call her sister, she's real cool. Sarah Posner wrote a book called Unholy. And she talks about a lot of this stuff about white Christians being against abortion or being against that or the other. No, they were really against school desegregation. Because from the moment we got here, I talked to some young men about this last week. The moment we got here, that Black woman and that Black girl was just sexually assaulted and mistreated the entire time. Those who did it blamed them. They put that voodoo on me. They oversexed. They this, they that, they the other. Right. And that's, I worked many years with sex offenders. That's the main rapist excuse. She asked for it. Her mouth said no, but her eyes said yes. How she was dressed, all kind of excuses.
Right.
So that was on the plane. That was from the slave ship all the way over. And so then their biggest fear, one of their biggest fears was that Black man was going to do to white women. Right. What they were doing to Black women.
Yep.
And so when you began, segregation was based, a lot of segregation was based on that. Woodrow Wilson, he resegregated the federal, DC in terms of federal jobs because they did not want white women near Black men. Right. Okay. So that white church was heavily involved in that. They made it, a word was made up called miscegenation. And so they'd go to the Bible. Well, the Bible says don't mix with these people, don't mix with those people. Right. All the while you creeping. Yeah. You messing with them sisters. And don't get it twisted. There were some white women who were blackmailing brothers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Come on in the spot. Yeah. So a lot of what they've done is built on a house of cards, and they have not reckoned with themselves about this stuff. You know, you have not addressed the original sin.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and to me, that's why history is so important. Learning these things, being able to critically analyze these things so that you can confront this stuff, build up your community, create opportunities for your people.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and one last thing, that's why I wrote, "What's love got to do with it?" I ain't looking for their love. Dr. King said flat out, you know, you can't pass a law to make a man love me, but you can pass a law to stop him from lynching me.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So, you know, I don't need your love. I got y'all's love. I got the family love. I got the community love. Y'all ain't got to love me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Just be fair.
Just be fair. That's all we want is fair.
Yeah.
And they scared of fair.
Yeah.
Because fair ain't fair to them.
Yeah. You know, fair means you don't have your privilege anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. Without a doubt.
That's way to put it.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna hit this last thing. Let me see how much time we got. Oh yeah. We in this era of homeschooling our kids because of COVID.
Yeah.
And you did your work in the school, and we talked a little bit about the resources. What is your advice, if you will, to folks about how we can best homeschool our kids?
Whatever subject you're working on with your child, look for a way to make it relevant to their current situation.
Okay.
You know, if you're teaching home economics, you can talk about finding Black businesses.
Right. Right.
You know, you can talk about how do we save, how do we stretch our resources the best. You know, where do we shop? What kind of goods do we buy?
Yeah.
You know, I can remember I was in Randallo's one day and I was watching this Black mother, little toddler. She had the little toddler holding the plastic bag and they're counting how many potatoes they're putting in the bag.
Nice.
You know, things like that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
history. You know, y'all know I'm a big fan of history, and people think I'm a historian. I'm not a historian. I'm just a psychologist who read a lot of history,
Right. Right.
and utilize it in my work.
Yeah. Yes.
How do we make this relevant? You know, you look at what the NBA was doing. These brothers was talking about, you know, say her name, and brothers and sisters, WNBA.
Right.
Okay, well, they can talk about LeBron and the guys. Okay, now let's look at the history of Black athletes and activism.
Yes.
You know, let's talk about Paul Robeson, Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, let's look at these sisters who stood up and talked about things. So my thing is just learning, helping your child make it relevant.
Right.
You know, because when stuff is relevant, we connect to it a lot better.
Yes. Yes. Without a doubt.
You know?
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Right.
you was mentioning some of that in the book. And this one with children's stories, how we relate to athletes and actors and entertainers and all that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, we're right, because even some teachers, some administrators or educators have taken to using rap as a means of teaching children certain things. Because it's funny, they say a kid can't learn his ABCs, but he can learn a rap song.
I knew kids who got D's and E's in English and wrote some of the most prolific, profound poetry and rap lyrics.
Yeah.
So it was about what interested them.
Exactly.
You know, and they demonstrated their skill. I had a young man blow me away one day. He came to my room. He wanted to work on he had this assignment to talk about some of his experiences. He didn't know where to go with it. And he started talking. And I said, you just did it.
Right.
All right, now let's put it on paper. And let's move with it. You know, a lot of times I think our kids don't know what they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think parents on some level may have gotten more of an appreciation of what teachers go through.
Yes. And what's going on right now? Yeah, they have.
You know, when you're sitting up there with that child. But before we can educate somebody else, we got to have the knowledge.
Mhm.
Without a doubt.
You know, and I'm old school, so I read a lot of books. I have difficulty constantly looking at a screen.
Mhm.
So, you know, I still buy books
Okay.
and read books. I just like the feel of a book,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
Well, that's what I do.
That's what we do with that's
Every
what I do with my Bible.
electronic book that I get a hard copy of it too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Well, I mean, you gave us some good food for thought, and I hope folks out there are taking it to heart that, and even not just with kids, but with adults too. We got to make things relevant. We got to make things so that people can understand what it is, so they can relate it to what we're trying to get them to understand. And the sooner we do that, the better off we all be.
Yeah, critical thinking.
Yes.
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 Just asking questions. Something come on TV, is that true?
Right.
Can I find information that it contradicts that, supports that, questions that?
Mhm.
You know, just critical thinking, critically analyzing what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And this is what I liked about your book too. You always had questions at the end, exercises they could do for each section. That's what I like too. And it was like, so if they answer this question, then they've grasped what you were trying to tell them.
I got to definitely get y'all the second book. Off air, we're going to talk about my publishing travails.
All right.
So is there another book in the future?
Well, you know what? I got enough stories for about 5 or 6 more books, but we'll talk about publishing travails.
Okay, but we need to talk about that, because I might have a solution for you.
Okay.
I might have a solution for you. Yeah. So we can talk about that. But Lefty, Dr. Byron C. Douglas.
Yes, sir.
PhD. We want to thank you so much for joining in and
sharing
with us.
Well, I appreciate this, and I promise my lighting will be better next time.
Well, I just want to know, because you got a wealth of knowledge. You're serious about what you're serious about. And our people are better for it.
Our people. Yes, you love our people.
Yes, I do.
And remember our fellows reunion coming up.
I hope we ain't got to do it by Zoom.
No, I ain't trying to do all that. I
know. But I'm like you, like when we retired, me and him both were doing the after school program. Fell in love with the kids. And, you know, I did all the days that I could. I mean, I spent a lot of money on them. I did all kinds of stuff because I want our children to be knowledgeable, and I want them to know that, you know, people care about them.
Right.
Somebody loves them.
And also, you also find out, like you just said, what the teachers have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when the kid comes to school and they ain't 8, they wearing the same clothes they've been wearing for the last week. Parents ain't paying them no attention. You know, the older brother, sister trying to raise them. Then you see what the struggle is.
Yeah, mental illness. Yeah.
So.
And they're not worried about that book right now. You know,
no, they're not.
They got more pressing issues right now.
Yeah. So if we address those other needs, you know, then they're more willing to sit there and listen and learn.
Right.
But they do vibe towards people who care.
Yes, sir. Yes, they do.
Without a doubt.
And they can tell.
They hate it when I missed. Yes, they did. They was like, where you at?
Yeah. I was at tutoring one day, and it was one girl I had worked with. And so next time I was working with another kid, and I had my head down. I was looking at some little girl that came by and just thumped me, just kept walking. You know, so they got their ways of letting you know they see you and they
right. And they want that attention.
I love them.
I think there's a old African quote that a child will burn down the village just to feel the warmth from somewhere. It's something like that. That ain't the quote, but it's, you know what I'm saying.
It's close enough.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I like that old favorite. Train up a child of the way you should go.
When they're old, they will not part from you.
That's right. We talking about life, religion, all of it. You know, give them the whole well-rounded portion. What you like to do, what you like to be, all that.
Yeah.
All right, Doc.
All right, Dixon. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that book stuff.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
All right.
Listen, God bless y'all.
Bless you too, brother.
You know, prayers are with you.
Yeah, and you too.
You know, love y'all, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all.
Okay, then.
Love you, bro.
All right.
Tell the wife we said hey.
Yes.
We'll do.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.
That's what's I like that. That's what's